All right. Well, thank you all again. We so appreciate everybody's efforts for working within Drupal and learning more about Drupal. And so the knowledge sharing sessions are to basically do just that, share knowledge about how to work in Drupal, some tips and tricks that we have. We've said this before, and it happens every single time when we are preparing for these sessions. The four of us, who I'll introduce in a moment, we still learn new things. There's just a lot of different things that happen in Drupal that you can do and learn about. So we hope that even if you walk away today with just a couple of new things, even if you've been attending these, it's worthwhile. So the four of us who are running these sessions, so Mariah, you met, she's the one who was talking first. She's our web marketing support manager, and Ashley Dill, our senior content specialist. And Diana Fiorentino, I don't think she's here today. She's our internal communications manager. And I'm Julia Quinn Siegel, the director of digital communications and content strategy. We all work within Drupal quite a bit and on the website. And so we're anxious to share our knowledge with you. Looking forward to it. So today's session is a really important one and one that there are so many different questions of. So we thought this would be great. It's all about all of the different blocks and boxes that you can use within your pages to make your content kind of come alive and help you share your story and present the story the way you want the outside world and the audience to see it. So what we're going to talk about today is the basics of setting up a Drupal page, how that works, what are the kind of static boxes that we would want to see this same consistency for. So that would be the hero image, or sometimes you'll see it referred to as a promo image. That's that big one, contact block, and the value prop, which is the first introductory text. And then all of the rest. So you'll see there's body text, there's a highlight box, a rotating highlight box, featured links, a timely box. Those look similar, they're different. An accordion to help you condense some really long information, quotes that you might want to add, facts and figures that you can pull in, social media things, the news announcements, calendar, media coverage, standardized blocks, profiles or student spotlights, student voices, a media pane, and then, any other block options and tips that we might want to pass along. We will hopefully have some time for questions at the end if you want to. If it's something really urgent, just, you can jump right in. If you've had trouble with something and you're like, oh, wait, I would like to know more about that. But otherwise, just if you want to put it in the chat, and we will certainly get to those at the end.
Thanks, Julia. So first we'll go over the elements of the Drupal page template. So there's a template that's built into Drupal whenever we create a new page. So we can go over what you should expect to see whenever you request a new page. Um, so first we have the first two sections will be configured within the template. So in the first section, you'll have the title of the page and then an optional pre-title, as well as the hero image, which, as Julia mentioned, you'll see often sometimes referred to as the promo image. But if you're looking for updating it in Drupal, it's going to be called the hero image. Then down in the second section, you have your value proposition or the body of the page. So we have a description here about how this is the first impression that users are going to have with your page. So this is where you will determine your audience and who is this page for. And we also have information on our marketing and communications resources site that will provide tips and tricks for writing content for the web. Then over on the right, you'll have your site menu, also referred to as a navigation. This includes internal subpages, as well as the contact box. So when we go into the page, you'll see you have the option to hide the contact box, as well as override it. By default, the contact box is going to pull the group's contact information. So whichever group the page belongs to will
they
pull
just sent
the
me, what did
contact
they say?
information.
I'm kind of upset. It says, oh, when will I be charged? And it's like, as soon as we confirm your order,
I think
your
we have a
credit card
couple
is
people
charged.
in the
And I'm
meeting
like,
who
listen, if you're back ordered,
are not muted. Does somebody have a
well,
question?
right. And I'm like, if you're, no, no. So I was kind of teeto
Pam.
about their policy, which is
Okay,
not
she
right,
can't
I
hear
think,
us.
which is, I think, against the law, but
I'll
whatever.
message her.
And then
Thank
it
you.
Thank
says,
you.
Thanks, Carly.
right, until they have it on hand.
Whoever's the
So,
host can also
yeah.
just mute
So,
her.
Oh, is that
Okay.
an
oh my
option?
God. So it's like
Sorry,
on
thanks.
its way. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
There you
Awesome.
go.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Sorry,
See,
Pam.
we all learn something new every single time.
Right? Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. So, as Mariah was just talking about the template, so there are a couple of things that we kind of have as standard so that when a user comes to our website, because it's the university website, we want to make sure that they feel like they're having a similar experience on the pages. So we don't want the pages to look wildly different. So for the page title, and the page content, we want to have some things that are pretty standardized. So that would be will stay as like a short introduction. The image will stay at the top, the header will stay at the top. So we don't want anything that header. We don't want anything in between the header and the photo or just below the photo unless it's the value prop. So as it says standardized on the template is how we want to make sure that those pages are appearing in real life when they go live. So those are some of the things that when we create the page, they will be standard. People can change those. We ask that you don't, if you can just leave those the way they are and then work with the rest of the options that Drupal has and the rest of your body copy on that page. That's where you can have some real creativity. So what will happen is you'll fill that page template. The help desk will use that content to set up the page, provide a link, send that back to you. It can be unpublished. You can go in and make some changes to the page. You can add content blocks a little bit. But those sections, the 1 and 2, as they're initially configured, should remain the same. So I know that some people like to use, I think maybe feel like they can experiment a little bit with those. And while it's possible, for the overall impression of the university website, it's best to keep those all standard. So I think that's it for that part.
Thanks, Julia.
I have a question.
What's up?
Can you go back to the slide before this? On the, yeah, that. On the pages that we shouldn't touch, can you give us an example? Because I'm kind of confused on what those pages that we aren't supposed to touch look like on the website.
It's more the blocks. So when you come to your page, see how there's the hero images right there and the header that says new page template, that's your title. So those should remain the same. You don't want to put any copy above that. So there should never be any copy above where it says new page template title. And then there shouldn't be any copy above that in the image. So that when users come to these pages, they're automatically seeing the title of the page, the image of the page, that value proposition, the menu navigation over on the side, and the contact block. So what can happen is there are options to add content above that title, but for the best user experience, we don't want that to happen. And people don't know that. I mean, that's just something that we know because we use these pages and we look at the university website as a whole. So what we're just asking is when people go in, ignore any option to do that and just leave your page with the title, the image, the value proposition, and then you can go into the rest of the body of the page to make any changes and be
Okay,
creative.
thank you.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks for asking that question. It's kind of a weird option that it's even in there, but and like we said, it's nothing that people would know about until you come to a session like this or hear from one of us.
Right. Thanks, Julia. And thanks, Carly. For the site menu, as you saw in the template here, here's what the menu looks like. As I said, often referred to as the navigation. So these are strategically positioned within the top level structure of our information architecture and the overall wpi.edu website. And so, for example, if you are working on your office's page, say in marketing communications. Marketing communications is underneath offices. So if you had some subpages, and the subpages could also have some of their own subpages determined by your content needs. These would go under what you would call your landing page. So the first page that's at the top of your navigation is your landing page. And we also just wanted to note that only internal pages, meaning anything that's within wpi.edu, is what is allowed to be included in the site menu. We are not able to include external pages, such as, I don't know, if it were like a YouTube video within that, we can only bring in the wpi.edu pages. So next we're going to get into the blocks, and I'm going to switch over to sharing a Drupal page. So first, before we get into that, I wanted to cover some logistics that you're going to see when we hop over into Drupal, and I'll show you in there as well. So first, we have a few, what is this? 5 block actions for every block within the page. So to configure means to edit. If you want to move it, you can move the block to another section. This can also be done by using drag and drop. So we'll explore both ways. You can remove the block. This is going to delete the block. If you didn't mean to delete it, it's not going to be saved until you click save the layout, or you can like discard changes and then you'll get your block back. You can also hide blocks and clone them. So we'll go into those. We'll also be using quite a few blocks that have a field for an image. So we'll go over uploading an image just once, and then we'll use images that are either already in the media library for the other blocks. So when we go into add an image, we'll see a field for alternative text. This is also known as alt text. This is a short description of the image that's used by screen readers and displayed when the image isn't loading. This is crucial for web accessibility to ensure that the images are meaningful and accessible to all of our users, including users that have visual impairments. This is required when uploading an image. So if you are uploading an image to the Drupal media library and you will be presented with this field, it is required and won't get uploaded to the media library without it. We also have the caption field. The caption is going to be associated with the image wherever it's pulled in across the site. So if you upload an image once to the Drupal media library, and then you pull that image in on one page and then maybe again on another subpage, the caption is going to be pulled into all of those locations. This is different from the alternative text because, as we described, the alternative text is for when the image is not loaded. It's going to be a description of what the image is. Whereas the caption could be if you wanted to add a note about the image, or you wanted to let users know who is in the image, that sort of thing. All right, so now let's hop over into Drupal. I'm actually going to start with adding a hero image. So when I switch over my screen, can everyone see Drupal? Great, awesome. So I've created this blank page for us to work from. If you were to request a page from CMS Help, request a new page, as Julia mentioned before, it would be awesome to also provide a value proposition so that we have an idea of the audience of this page and what sort of content this page will be used for. So if you needed to edit your value proposition, you're going to go into the Edit tab. So we have View, Edit, and Layout. So if I go into the Edit tab, I like to call this section really kind of like the settings of the page, because your hero image, your body / value proposition are very important, as we mentioned at the top of your page. That's your first impression. So I like to refer to these as the settings sometimes, and that's why it's in a separate tab than the layout. So we have a couple tabs here, the page content and then contact and social media. So we have an option for a subtitle, if you'd like a subtitle. The title of the page is configured by the CMS Help Desk and by our team. So if you would like to change the title of an existing page, please submit a ticket to the CMS Help Desk and we can update it. So we have the hero image here as well and the body. So let's demonstrate how to upload a hero image. I'll click on Add Media. And now this is going to open the Drupal media library. So you'll see everyone's images in here. So I'm going to click on Choose Files to upload a file from my computer's Finder. So let's see, I have a hero image. Let's choose fall scenery. I'll choose the image and then click open. That's going to bring it into Drupal. Oh, it's way too big. Sorry about that. Let's choose, I think I've used this one before too. So I'll click on the image and click on open. And now it's almost added into the Drupal media library. However, I'm prompted to add my required alternative text. And there's also some helper text here to let you know what this is in case you forget. So this is an image of WPI's Atwater Kent building. Now, if I wanted to provide a caption, I would provide the caption here. And then as I mentioned before, wherever the image is pulled in, we'll see the caption. So I will add a caption for demonstration purposes, but this is going in the hero image. So once I click save, and I can now see it in the Drupal media library. If it's checked off, then I click insert selected. Now it's going to be added as my hero image. Now I will fill out the value proposition. I'm blanking. Did I spell it right? Awesome. All right. So now I'm going to save it. This page is published. No worries. This is in a different environment than wpi.edu. So I'll click save, and now I've saved my hero image, my subtitle up here, and my value proposition. Now, I've already configured the page to be under the marketing communications menu. You can also see that up here in what is called the breadcrumbs. So here's my subpage, marketing communications offices. We also have the contact box. This is pulling the contact information for the marketing communications group in Drupal. If we needed to override that, I'm going back into the edit tab and I'm going to this tab here, contact and social media. Now we have a few options. This will let you know that it's inherited from the topmost page, which will be your landing page within your group. We could either hide the contact info box, and this will just hide the block altogether, or we can override the information. So it'll give us all of the necessary fields, including social media. Now we can go into the layout, and I'll start with the body text block. So you'll see here, as we described in the template presentation, this is section 1, this is section 2. And this is a template because this is the way that it's configured by default when we create the page. So it's already set up here for us with the value proposition with 67%, as well as the menu and the contact block over here with 33%. So if I want to add some blocks, I'm going to add a new section underneath section 2. You have a few options. You could do 1 column, 2 column, or 3 columns. For the sake of demonstrating these blocks, I will generally stick to 1 column layout, but you could also play around with seeing how your blocks look in multiple columns. So once I choose one column, I can choose the width. Again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to stick to the default width, which is contained. You also have spacing here if you needed to add any of that, and you can also add spacing between blocks. Typically, I will check this off whenever I'm working within a page because I usually like a little bit of space between everything so nothing's touching. So I'm going to add the section now. Now I have this new button here that says add a block. So once I click that, most of your content blocks are going to be in this second list. So in the first list, you'll see announcements, calendar, and news, and we'll cover these a little bit later on. But if you want, say, the body text block, featured links, highlight box, those sorts of blocks, those are going to be content blocks. So I'll click content block, and now I'm going to choose body text. The body text is one of our I usually will look at the numbers for our block usage at the end of the year to put in the CMS Help Drupal Digest newsletter for fun. And body text is always number one. It's the most standard. So we have the title, subtitle, and the body. Every block is going to require a title, but you also have the option to hide it. So if I say this is the body text block, this is the title. And I could check this off to say I don't want to display the title, but for now I'm going to keep it checked. Here's the subtitle. And then here in a lot of the blocks, you'll see this standard body field. This is your standard text editor. You can bold, italicize, throw in some hyperlinks, add an image within this if you'd like, change the justification of it, all of that. So here is my body text, and now I'll click add block. So you'll see that our blocks have pre-styling to them. So for example, the subtitle gets capitalized, and then we have this red, sometimes we call it an eyebrow, so I'll refer to it as an eyebrow, and we have this red eyebrow underneath the subtitle. Now let's go back to our block actions. So if I wanted to edit this block, I have this little pencil icon here that I can click on, and I can see my block actions: configure, move, remove, toggle hidden, or clone. So if I click on configure, that's going to bring me back into the block. And if I wanted to edit it, there it is, I'm making a change, and now I'll click update, and that updates my block. Next, I can move it to a new section. This is most helpful if you have, you want to move it to section 10 from section 3. If you needed to drag it all the way down the page, this might be a little bit more helpful. So let's say for demonstration purposes, I want to move it up to section 2 underneath the value prop. So that's going to be section 2 on the left. And then I click move, and it automatically moves it up there, but I can also click and drag. Now there it is back in section 3. We can remove it. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to remove it? I don't, so I'm going to click cancel. Then we can choose toggle hidden. If we hide the block, it's going to give us this little message here so that you as the CMS user know that that's in there and it's not completely lost and you can see it in your layout. And if you click toggle hidden again, there it is and it comes back. We can also clone the block. So if I choose clone, it's going to ask for a block description. This is also known as the block title. So this is my clone, and I'll choose clone, and there it is. There's my clone. It did provide a message there that lets you know that the clones are going to default to the same section. It's also important to note that clones can only be used within the same page. Unfortunately, we cannot clone a block across pages. So if you wanted to clone the block within the page, that's awesome. So I am going to remove this one. Now we can see it's gone. All right, what's our next block? Does anybody have any questions about the body text block? before I move on? Okay.
Actually,
Um,
Mariah, I do want to just, if I can just, we do have one question. Well, we have two, but one maybe we can answer right away about the dynamic dashboard visuals, because I know that would be part of these blocks. So the question is, does Drupal support dynamic dashboard visuals like a pie chart, or do we just have to use a static image?
Are we referring to like Tableau, Power BI, that sort of thing? Yes. It does support it. The CMS help desk team can go in and add code if you have if you provide an embed code such as an iframe, then we can go in and add that to a block. We have access to extra blocks such as a code block, but that wouldn't be widely used by our CMS users. So if Anusha, if you would like a dynamic dashboard, please submit a ticket to CMS help and we can get that on your page for you.
Thanks. And we can answer the other ones at the end too.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, moving on to highlight boxes and rotating highlight boxes. These are generally very similar, but the rotating highlight box provides multiple slides. So let's go in and add our highlight box. So again, I'm clicking add block, add content block, and now I'm looking for a highlight box. There it is. And here's my title, retitle, and body. Now I'm going to add an image. So from here, I'm choosing an image that's already in the Drupal media library. Then I'll click insert selected. There's my image. Now I have a link field. The link field is used among multiple blocks. So in this one, we will see the pre-styling when we add it in. So we have the URL and the link text. So again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to say link text so that we can see it and know what the field is called. However, it is important that your link text is descriptive to what the link is about. If you're linking over to, say, like a degree program or something, you would say, oh, learn more about a degree in computer science. Learn more about WPI's master in AI. So for the URL, you can provide, I'm just going to grab wpi.edu and throw that there. You also have the option to, you don't have to add a URL specifically like copying and pasting it. If you know the page, you could add the path. So this helper text right here describes that for you. So if I wanted to do offices, oh, I don't think this is going to load. I apologize. Sometimes this will give you like options to choose from. But so if I wanted to do the marketing communications office landing page, I would provide what is called the path. So what shows up after wpi.edu. So we also have that option. But I'll just paste in this link here. Next, we have the link attributes. So a link target determines if a link is going to open within the same window or in a new window. So we went over links and PDFs and media in our last Drupal knowledge sharing session. So if you want a more in-depth description of this sort of thing, I recommend catching up with that video. So if I choose same window, my link is going to open in the current window. If I choose a new window, then my link will open a new tab for the user. That's recommended for external links. But if we're linking to, say, we're linking to the WPI homepage, so I'll keep that within the same window. You can add multiple links if you'd like for the highlight box, but I'm going to save it this way with our one link. Next, we have the media location. We can choose if the image will display on the left side or the right side of our title, body, subtitle. So I'll keep it to the default, which is the left. Next, we have to choose a background color. Across all of the blocks, the background color options are white, gray, and black. And the pre-styling of the block will fix other colors such as the link color, the text color to accommodate for that background color. So for fun, let's do gray. Now at the block, here's my highlight box. Going to save it up here on Save Layout. Here is my highlight box. You can see we have this gray around here, our pre-title up here, and our link. So I'll go back into the layout. Next, we have the rotating highlight box. So the rotating highlight box has all the same fields as a highlight box, but we can have multiple. So let's go in, grab the rotating highlight box. Again, here's our title. So this looks a little bit different in the configuration because we're adding it per slide. So first we have our first highlight box slide here. So I'll fill out all the same fields. And then we have our link field here again, as well as the same attributes. If you don't go in and choose a link target, it will default to opening in the same window. I think if I just leave it at none, let's test that out together and see how that works. So I'll add media. I'm going to choose the same image because I already have this pre-sized. So we'll insert that. The media location for the rotating highlight box, we can do left, right, or on top. So let's try it on the right side this time. We have the background color again. Let's see black. And now I'm going to click Add Highlight Box Slide. This gives me another slide with all of the same information for another slide. Excuse my typos. Again, link text within the link field. And I'll add the same media. Actually, I think this one over here is appropriately sized. All right, so I have 2 slides and there you can, as you can see, you can add even more than 2. And if you wanted to remove one of them entirely, you would choose this remove box right here. So I'll click add block and here is my rotating highlight box. So I'm gonna go up and save it. Now you can see I have 2 highlight box slides. I assumed I had this image size to the right size for the rotating highlight box, but as you can see, the way that it expands, I did not. When you're using a rotating highlight box, it's highly recommended to keep the image sizes the same. You can refer to we have a list of Drupal image sizes that breaks it down by the block and lets you know what the dimensions of the image should be. All right, what's next? Featured links. So featured links, again, is a very commonly used block. It can also be referred to as buttons because that is exactly what they look like. So I'll go into the layout and I'll add my featured links. Again, clicking add block, create content block, and I'm looking for featured links. There it is. So the featured links does provide all the same fields, a pre-title, a body if you'd like, but these fields are not required. I think featured links is probably one of the most commonly used blocks that the pre-title and the body aren't as widely used because on a lot of pages, users will want to display just the buttons. So again, we're seeing this link field here. This field is very common across a lot of blocks as we're seeing it again and again. So it's the same. However, for the featured links, because we're going to get a button, we have a couple different attributes here. So of course, we still have our link target, but we also have the button type. It provides some hints here that lets us know primary means red, secondary means black. The default choice is secondary outlined. That means it's going to be a black outlined box with a white fill. If I wanted to change it, I could say that I want primary outlined. That's going to be a red outline, white fill, or primary filled. This is going to be a red button with white text. So let's choose a red button, and then I can also change the background color. I'm going to keep it to white for this one. And as you can see, you can also add another item if you needed multiple buttons. So
Mariah, should all the buttons, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Should all the buttons
okay.
be the same style when you're putting them side by side or within the same block?
I do recommend that they should be the same style within the same block. If you wanted to have, maybe you have some featured links towards the top of your page that you want to stand out a little bit more, and you can have both of those as the red fill, and then maybe somewhere further down the page you wanted to use the secondary outline, the black outline. But I do think that within the same block, they should have the same styling. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll add my block and I can see a little preview here. I'll go up and save it. Now here are my featured links. For the interest of time, I'm not going to change it to have all of the different styling options, but we do have them listed here. And also a reminder of the primary or secondary colors. Next is the timely box. The timely box is a good option for calling out information. So we'll see how it's styled here, that we have like a bit of a red title and then a box around our information. So again, I'm adding a new block and then looking for timely box. It's at the bottom. Here's my timely box, and here is the body. Click add block. And here's my timely box. Again, I'm going to save it. So this is great for, calling information out. I think that this box and the subtle red title is great for drawing the user's attention to something. I know I've seen this used for important dates, or if you even just wanted to use it for simply for the styling of it, you like the way that it looks, then that's great as well. Next is the accordion. The accordion is great if you have a lot of information and you want to display it in a pretty condensed way. So let's add our accordion, title. Now the accordion, similar to when we were working with the rotating highlight box, we have not slides, but these are called accordion items. So at first we're just going to have one item. Here's the title and here's the body. I'm going to copy some lorem ipsum for this one so we can have a lot of content in there. Then we also have the option on the accordion item to check off this box that says start expanded. That means when the user visits the page, this accordion item is already going to be open. I've seen this commonly used for the first accordion item out of a whole accordion block. So if I want to add another one, let's keep this one not expanded. Now I'll add the block. Same thing as with the rotating highlight box slides. If you want to remove one, you have this remove button here. Okay, here's our accordion. I'll go and save it so we can interact with it. So while this is already expanded by default, we could close it by clicking on it. And if we click on the second one, then it's going to open that up. Next is the quote block. So let's go in and add our quote block. So we have a few different fields here that we haven't seen before. So here's the quote block. And now first I have, I can add multiple quotes within the same block. And then I have first a field for the actual quote, then an attribution. So who said this quote? Then we can add another item to add multiple attributions. And if there is an affiliation or a company, that can be provided in this field here. Again, we can click add another item to provide another option to fill out this affiliation and company field, or we can remove it. And then if we'd like, we can add an image. Then if you want to display this quote on someone's Drupal profile, you can pull their profile in on the profile field. So if I look up my user, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I believe this is not working because I'm not on wpi.edu, but I'm in this development environment. But this is where you would add the profile. If you started typing somebody's name, it would provide some options, you know, or you could type somebody's user and then it will provide the names and you would click on it from there and it'll add the profile to this quote. Again, we have the background color options. Let's choose gray. And if I add the block, there's a quote said by Mariah and Ashley from WPI.
I have a question, Mariah.
What's up?
Since you just scrolled up to the top of your page and that electrical engineering image is like so, oh, it was huge a moment ago. How do you like control the size of that?
So Drupal doesn't have any image editing features. So if you need to resize an image, you could either do that like locally on your computer, depending on, you know, which computer you have or whatever you use. But we also have a tutorial on our YouTube for using the online Adobe free image resize tool. So if you needed to resize an image, you could use that tool and follow our tutorial. And then you would re-upload the image with those dimensions. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Actually, Sharon had that as a question too for the announcements and calendar events.
Okay.
But
Could
we
you
can
sometime post the YouTube link to the chat?
Let's see. I can hop into the YouTube too to show you on our YouTube homepage. We actually have different playlists listed right on our homepage. So if you were looking for specific block tutorials, you could follow the blocks playlist. Or if you needed something for resizing an image, I think that resizing an image is under profile and users because the tutorial is tailored towards resizing a profile image, but the information can be used for any image. All right, let's see what we have next. Next is facts and figures. So I think Ashley can provide some background and information on what facts and figures are.
Thanks, Mariah. So just a little background on facts and figures. Marcom manages the main facts and figures database page. It's all facts and figures that would be high profile, sources that we've deemed credible with a high following, usually like far reaching university level stats. So, because we try to vet ones and make sure that they are credible for the page. So a way you can use these stats is you can use the facts and figures block, and this will pull those stats that are already on the page into the block. If you want to have a specific 1 or 2 or 3 that you feature on your page, it will give your page some more color, some more credibility, and some more information about your program or about the school. So you can refer to the facts and figures page. We have the link here. You can just Google search facts and figures WPI as well. That's just as easy. And you can see kind of like what are your options for what you can pull in. Because Mariah will show you how to set it up, but usually when you're pulling it in, you kind of need to know what it's basically called, because you just start typing and then a field will populate with some options. Mariah, if you want to go to the next slide, we just had an example. I know you're going to show them how to do it, but we have the example of how. So this is how the facts and figures would be displayed using the facts and figures block on your page. Ideally, you want to have 3 because then it would span the length of the page, but you don't necessarily have to. So just kind of try to be strategic about what you choose. We do try to keep the stats no older than 3 years. So you don't really want anything older than that to appear on your page as well. We try to unpublish as they age up as well. And I would contact you, or somebody from Marcom would contact you if we did need to remove an older stat. Okay, Mariah, if you want to show them how to set that up.
Yeah, of course. First I see Anusha has her hand raised. Do you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. I have a quick question regarding the dashboard or like analytical point. Can we show them like a dynamic ones instead of like having static facts and figures? Or we can just screenshot the visual, for example, a pie chart or a line chart, and then just paste as an image there.
So as we were talking about earlier, I think if you have like a dynamic dashboard that you would like to embed into the website, we can help you with that by customizing it. I don't recommend putting a screenshot of something like that or putting a screenshot of a pie chart, because we run the risk of it being inaccessible to users that have trouble viewing our site. So if it's just a static image, then that means that we're relying on the image to display the information. And for something like that, that's where the alternative text is really important. So if we have something like, what are they called? Like infographics. So if you have an image that has like text on it, then we would want to always provide that in text format and the alternative text, so that it's accessible for all users. So yeah, again, if you want to explore embedding a dashboard, please reach out to CMS Help and we can help you out.
Thank you.
So I'll switch over to Drupal, and we'll add a facts and figures. So let's go down, add a content block, and I'm looking for facts and figures. So as Ashley said, you're going to want to know what you're looking for. So let's see, maybe if I want to pull in these same ones, like number 14, top game design programs. So here's my facts and figures. And this is where I would look to pull it in. So if I start typing, say like something from this listing, then it'll come up as an option. And then when I click on it, it's going to add it in. So I also have the option to add another item or remove my items. So what do we have? Number 12, most underrated colleges. And then we have number 1, best online masters in engineering. So if I just put 1, then I have a few options here. Then I have a background color. So let's look at it in black because we don't use that one as much. And here's our facts and figures. And as Ashley said, you don't have to add 3, but it looks nice. So if you have 3 that you'd like to display, it'll look pretty neat. So next we have a social media block, and I just want to, in the interest of time, maybe do a quick overview of what we have left, so then we can decide which blocks we want to go over. So let's see what we have. We have social media, news announcements, calendar, and media coverage. Those are our dynamic blocks. We do have, we've done a past session covering all things news, announcements, calendar, and that sort of dynamic content. So maybe we could do this profile spotlights and the student spotlight quickly. So let's do, I think I could cover social media and then the profile spotlights. So we have a block for social media in here. Oh, we don't. I apologize. That was, as I mentioned before, sometimes blocks have certain permissions. So it looks like we don't have a social media block here. But your social media can be added to the contact box by adding it over in the settings of the page, like we explored in the contact information before. So next would be the profile spotlight or student spotlight. So these are two different blocks because profile spotlight is going to pull in any profile, whether it's a faculty profile or a staff profile. So if you have your landing page and you want to use within the same block to bring in profiles for your faculty and your staff, this is a perfect block for that. So we also have a new field here called the header link. So I will provide a link just so we can see what that looks like. For the profile spotlight, I think it's awesome if we linked over to pages such as Meet the Team. So users can follow this link to find out more about the rest of the team. So again, we have the background color and let's pull in some profiles. So I started typing my user and it comes up and says my staff profile. If I start typing in Ashley, we'll also see her staff profile and you'll also see some others come up, right? We have Ashley Lockwood that would pull in her faculty profile. So let's pull in Ashley's staff profile. Now I'll add this block and there's our profiles. I'll save it so we can go ahead and interact with it. So this pulls in the profile, like our name, our title, department, and a little bit of our bio. We can click this button here, read more, to see our whole website. And then we can navigate between the profiles. And here's Ashley's. So if we click read more, that's going to bring us over to her profile. And the student spotlight is a very similar configuration. However, this pulls from our database of student voices. So if you have a student that has been featured on our student voices page that you would like to pull in, then this is the block for that. So again, we have a background color, a header link. I know some departments have pages that feature all of their students, so the header link would be a good spot to use that. This isn't required though. If you don't have anything that you want to link over to, then that's no problem. So I'm going to pull in SATA. Again, apologies for my technical difficulties. Oh, I don't think he's coming up because he's not, again, in the environment. So if we choose one of the existing profiles, that will pull them in, add the block, and then that will pull in the student's profile. It will function the same as the profile spotlight. If we click on read more, it'll take you over to learn about the student voice profile. So we have a question in the chat. Academic Resource Center had a similar question.
We have a couple of questions, excuse me, about calendars,
Okay.
calendar events, starting with Robin's. When you're doing an event post with recurring events, is there a way that you can really add one with multiple dates instead of creating separate posts for each date?
In our knowledge sharing session about news, events, announcements, I think that we cover recurring events. Drupal does not allow for events to have the same title, and that is the restriction with recurring events. So if you had multiple events, then we recommend adding the date into the title so that Drupal allows you to upload those so that they can coexist in the calendar. There is also the option to have a parent event with sub events. I don't think that that necessarily applies to recurring events, though. That's if you have, like, I think Wellness Day is a great example for that. We would have a parent event that's about Wellness Day, and then the sub events are all of the individual fun Wellness Day events.
There's also a question from Gina specifically about that, about is it possible to add that specific parent event, for instance, the Wellness Day, from the calendar to a page and not the whole calendar, such as adding the Wellness Day parent event to the Wellness Day page. So Gina, are you thinking you just want to have the parent event appear, but not any of the other subsequent events that are underneath that?
Like all the events underneath that too, but like I don't want to just link to the calendar on the Wellness Day page. I want specifically just that parent event and its sub events.
I see what you mean. Instead of, in that case, I would recommend using a separate block, maybe one of the blocks that we explored here, like a highlight box to feature the event, instead of using the calendar block, because the calendar block is by default going to pull in all upcoming events, or well, not all of them, but a few of them. So that way, if you use, say, a highlight box, you can link specifically to that parent event. Does that answer your question? Great, got a thumbs up. I know we're at time. So thanks everyone for coming. If there's any extra questions, I can stay on for a couple extra minutes. I know that people have to run though, so we will be posting the recording from this session, and then we have the same session happening again on Tuesday. All right, thanks so much everyone for coming.
Hi, Mariah. This is Robin. I just wanted to ask, just to clarify. So I do Mindful Wednesdays and Mindful Thursdays. So that's something that I do each term weekly. And what I have been doing is doing for events Mindful Thursday with the date. So that's separate posts for each event. There's no way that I can get around that. Is that how I would have to do it?
Right. I do know that Mindful Wednesdays and Mindful Thursdays have a specific case because they also are coming in through the MyWPI feed. We have a relationship set up with MyWPI that with a specific tag on those events in MyWPI. I don't know exactly what it's called. I think it's if you choose that it's a community-wide event for faculty, students, and staff, then Drupal and MyWPI talk to each other to bring those events into Drupal. And I have seen those come through before, and when it's coming in through the feed, Drupal is allowing them to coexist. So I think that I recommend either utilizing the MyWPI feed in that way. The restriction with that is that you're restricted by, you can't go in and edit the information because the information is coming from the source, which is my WPI. If you edit that event in Drupal, it will be overridden by the feed and by what's coming from my WPI.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen what's come over from my WPI and half of it is missing.
Yeah. Mhm. I know what you mean. It only brings in like a preview
Right.
and then like links over to it. I see. So I think whatever works best for you. I know that with a recurring event like that, it could be tedious, but thank you for the feedback. That is definitely something that, our larger team can explore,
Okay.
knowing that it's something that our users struggle with.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Sharon, was that similar to the question that you were asking about bulk uploading messages and events?
Yeah, Academic Resource Center is unique. Like, so at the beginning of each term, there's like a dozen different classes they'll teach, but they'll only do two, like two Python classes, two LaTeX classes, two classes of this, two classes of that. And when I was meeting with them yesterday, they were saying it was like super tedious to put like 20 to 30 individual things in. And they're asking like, was there a way if they had a CSV file to just like do a bulk upload to make it faster for them?
Mhm. Right now, currently, I think the answer is no, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. I mean, no, like I was describing, we have a feed set up with my WPI, and then we also have an integration with, say, like athletics. But within Drupal, we don't have the ability to upload like a CSV of events. I think that the restriction there is that events have so many specific fields that Drupal um, needs to identify, and that's why it's best for users to put events in manually.
And who manages my WPI?
I apologize,
As
but
in,
I
is that
don't have the answer.
okay?
I think that's student activities. I think Christine Sherry does a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. All right, if there's no last minute questions, I'll stop sharing and recording, and I will post this up on our YouTube channel.